So in this video, I would like to share with you some additional resources for delving into understanding more about who these presidents were, but also learning more about United States history and world history. I mentioned in a previous video to not use memorizing the presidents, not to see it as an end in itself, but a means to an end, really a launching pad. So if we memorize the presidents, we have a good backdrop for understanding American history, but then we have to delve into actually understanding American history. So having a basic understanding of that timeline, who was in office at different points in history, but then beginning to fill in more depth and gain more context for what was actually going on, what decisions did they make, why did they make that, how did it turn out, and also for understanding more about how our government is formed. So in another video, I will talk more about the three branches of government in the US. So the executive branch is the head of the executive branch is the president. So the president is a very important role. However, there are many other important roles as well. Our founding fathers understood that no one man or small group of people should be entrusted with too much power, because they knew that power tended to corrupt people. They had been ruled over by a tyrannical king of England, and they did not want to set up a form of government that would allow for that to happen again. And so they went to extensive work to set up our form of government in a way that protected the people who lived under that government from the government itself, and checked and balanced the power of the people who were in positions of power in civil government. So with that, I just want to first give some resources into studying more about the presidents. So this is updated, I think, each time we have a new president elected. So it's Our Country's Presidents by Ann Bossman, and she goes through each of the presidents and has a nice photo to help us know what they looked like, and also has kind of a overall picture, timeline, when were they in office, who were they married to, that sort of thing. And then she has different information about them. Some presidents have more than others. And one thing that I really appreciate, let's see, here is Abraham Lincoln, for instance. And she doesn't do this, maybe not with all of the presidents, but with many of them, she draws out certain quotes, whether it was from when they were younger or when they were in office, and she cites the quotes as well. And so it can be a great launching pad for, in our day of the internet, we can so easily use this to look at more primary source material. And I think that is a very valuable part of studying history, is go back to the actual primary source material, when it was originally written, who it was originally written by, not always relying on other people to give us their view of it. I think that's part of what has gotten our country into the trouble that we are in right now, and is how our educational system functions, which is oftentimes people giving their own view of things and teaching that to students, rather than equipping students to go to the source themselves. So again, this is a great launching pad for having that big picture understanding of different individuals who served as president, but also it gives glimpses into what some primary source material might be if you really want to do a deeper dive into those individuals. So a couple other resources, these are both published by Lamplighter Publishing. One is called Mothers of Famous Men, and in this one, the author has compiled, obviously according to the title, Mothers of Famous Men, and there are several mothers of presidents, I think 5 or 6. So they're not all mothers of presidents, but several of them are. And then True Stories of Great Americans for Young Americans. So there are several presidents, several mothers of presidents in here. I think there's one wife of a president as well. So those are some great resources for delving into more about the presidents themselves. And finally, whitehouse.gov, whitehouse.gov has some great resources on the different presidents who have served throughout history, throughout our nation's history as well. And then I want to delve into more resources that deal with our nation's history in general. So not just focusing on the presidents, but on our form of government, on our history as a nation, and even things that we can learn from world history. So first, this is called Constitution Alive, and several of these, actually, this is done by Wall Builders, I believe is the name of the organization. David Barton and Rick Green did this. And many of their resources are available if you are an Amazon Prime member. You can stream them for free as part of your membership. So Constitution Alive is a great one if you want to have a basic understanding about our country's constitution. I will be honest, I have not viewed all of these yet. I have had them for many years, had intentions of watching them and learning from them, and I haven't done that yet. So as I'm saying this, I need to go back and watch all of these myself. The ones that I have watched have been excellent. They're the sort of quality that you can sit down and watch it 3 or 4 times, the same episode, the same video, and get more out of it each time because the people who are teaching are so knowledgeable. So this is another one from Wall Builders. I believe it's not available on Amazon Prime as well, the American Heritage series. And Building on the American Heritage series. So those are some great resources. And then in terms of books, this is another book, I believe beginning in 8th grade or so. This could be a great history textbook if you're homeschooling. And if you're an adult and haven't delved into this topic of America's Providential history, this is a great overview. And Stephen McDowell and Mark Beliles are the authors, and I'll leave that there for now. And then finally, this one deals with world history. So Dr. Francis Schaeffer did this teaching years ago. He has since passed on, so you will see that it's older in quality, but the content is extremely valuable. And he looks at various different civilizations throughout world history and considers this question, how shall we then live? And his perspective, for me, it's really beneficial to have a teacher who has done extensive studying and can put things in a little bit more context so that I can grapple with deeper ideas. The reality is I'm not going to go study all of those civilizations in depth, but he, over his lifetime, did do a lot of studying, so it's a blessing to be able to draw on the wisdom that he gleaned as he studied. So as you probably have noticed, many of those resources, I think perhaps all of them with the exception of this one, do encourage Christian values and really have that at the basis of our form of government in the U.S. And I think that is something consistent with what our founding fathers taught. They believed that in order to be a free people, we needed to be a self-governed people under God. They also understood that civil government was not it gleaned its authority from God and is responsible to God for its decisions ultimately. But in our nation, we as citizens in the U.S., we have been entrusted with the right to choose our leaders. And so in some sense, the decisions they make is on us because we have chosen to entrust them with power. So I do think that the Christian approach to civil government is consistent with what our founding fathers believed to be at the foundation of the continuation of our country. And education is another big part of that. They understood that in order for our republic to be maintained, we needed to train up the next generation in understanding certain principles principles. So I encourage you to draw on the resources that I just mentioned. If you're an Amazon Prime member, many of them are free, so check them out. And I will also put all of these, the books or resources mentioned in the video notes for this as well. So thank you so much for your time, and take care. Bye-bye.